To see how much work was still pending after doing the work from the uh, oral side. Now, this tissue is still not removed. Even on the periosteum of the sphenoid, below the sphenoid bone, this tissue was not removed. So now, this is the periosteum properly seen. If you reach this kind of a clearance, then you can make sure that there will be no recurrence. So therefore, I sincerely recommend that wherever you can, going from the nasal cavity, you must go in from the nasal cavity. The wand should come from the oral cavity, and the scope must come from the nasal cavity, because you can see now I'll go for the buccopharyngeal fascia. Clean it. Now there's still a lot of tissue. The buccopharyngeal fascia is still not in view, and if your scope is fogged, you can simply clean it on the tissues like this. Now see, this is all lymphoid tissue, and since now I'll see the buccopharyngeal fascia head on, so I can remove all these tissues without fear of opening up the fascia. This is all lymphoid tissue. All lymphoid tissue, and we need to remove all of them. So that's the complete removal. That's the superior boundary. You can see the periosteum which has not been opened, but where each and every bit of adenoid has been removed. Now I am going for the buccopharyngeal fascia. All this adenoid tissue has to be removed. Unless we remove this adenoid, it will surely come back. To what extent, the time will tell. But when we are performing a surgery, there is absolutely no point. The suction is blocked here. Let the nurse clean it. And now you can see that this part of the lymphoid tissue, layer by layer, this has to be completely removed. Now see, that's the buccopharyngeal fascia. We have to reach till there. All this has to be removed. Now this is a little tough adenoid. It's not cutting away so easily. That's the buccopharyngeal fascia. Okay. So all this is adenoid, and we are not supposed to open up the buccopharyngeal fascia. We are only supposed to remove the tissues over the buccopharyngeal fascia without opening it. Clean it. So still a lot of adenoid tissue is pending. Now this tissue has already become devitalized. So even if you leave a little bit of devitalized tissue, it will fibrose, but then there will be some infection. So we'll not leave behind devitalized tissues. And anyway, in a small child, he is only 2.5, so his growth period of adenoids is not over. So if you leave too much of tissues behind, then we'll have to operate again after 5 years. I'm going very slow because I want a good hemostasis. Small child, you cannot afford any bleeding after the procedure. When we are going behind the torus tuberous from the nasal side, there's a little bit of fogging of the scope. So I've cleaned it. Now be very careful when you are on this side because you can have some small vessels coming from that area which might give you a lot of trouble. Clean it. So we have reached the fascia on the right hand side. We are still working on the fascia on the left hand side. I'll try to remove as much adenoids as possible. Define the fascia almost everywhere. That's the fossa of Rosenmuller, the lateral boundary in the posterior part, and this is almost complete. The fascia is almost reached. This is the torus tuberous. This wand is actually not functioning to the best of its abilities right now, but my job is complete, so I will not change the wand anymore. But you can see this wand is actually still it's able to ablate and coagulate, so I will still work with this. But if required, never think twice about changing the wand if it is not effective. So I'm shaving away all the tissues. So these are the boundaries of adenoidectomy. Periosteum on the superior, on the sphenoid bone superiorly, buccopharyngeal fascia posteriorly, fossa of Rosenmuller laterally in the posterior part, torus tuberous laterally in the anterior part, and sorry, yeah, the pars ridge in the inferior part. Thank you for watching.